first year of teaching, I would practice writing meaningful comments on my students' assessments with the intention that my students would be able to learn from the feedback given. Unfortunately, my low-performing students were not benefiting from my feedback. They would continue to make similar mistakes and never have true understanding for the topic because they would either throw the papers out or stuff them into their book bags without reading the comments. The few students that took the time to read the comments were not given the opportunity to correct their work using the given feedback. My mistake was that my feedback was delayed and not immediate. I began to circulate the classroom during assessments and provide my students with immediate face-to-face feedback. This is now one of my best practices because it allows me to clear up misunderstandings immediately and it gives me insight on my students' learning and progress. Since implementing this strategy, my students' achievement has skyrocketed. Here is a look at me giving my students feedback that is correcting, reinforcing, and commending. So your hypothesis is, if I use 3 different string, that sounds like 3 different color string, 3 different types of string, so you have to be very specific. So what would you put? Okay, good. So if I use 3 different string lengths, then the longer string will have more periods. Very good. So you told me what you're going to do, and then you told me your prediction. Because I'm not sure what that word says.
Higher.
Okay, let's correct that spelling. It's H-I-G-H-E-R. The higher and longer the string, the more kinetic energy. Kinetic is spelled incorrectly, but that's a very good thought. You're thinking that if it's longer, it will actually have more speed, and therefore you'll have more periods. Very good. I love your prediction. Let's just work on your grammar. Independent variable, the one thing that changes, the length of string. Dependent variable, your data will be the amount of periods in the time, okay, that you recorded. So the amount of periods and what time are you going to do it? How long are you going to time for? So the amount of periods in 1 minute. Control variable is the height, the angle you start at, and the time you're doing it for. So let's indicate that the time is going to be 1 minute, okay? All right, good job. Sometimes my feedback is supported by a rubric. This allows my students to compare what is expected to what they are doing. Okay, THRTA, that's our rubric. Title. We have a title, length of strings with the amount of periods. Alright, that worked. The amount of periods that occurred within a minute. Heading, independent variable, length of string, the amount of periods, the dependent variable on the right, on the left. Ruler, use a ruler for all your lines. Trials and averages, you had 2 trials and your averages are correct.
Okay, I like it a lot because it helps us understand that we're doing everything correctly, and it guides us on the right path. Let's say we're doing something wrong and we don't know about it, and you help us so we know we're back on track instead of failing right away.
In the lab, Ms. Saunders circulates the room and gives the kids feedback, and I like this because sometimes I need help on something, and before in the old school, they just made us do our work, and they didn't really help us on what we were doing. They just gave us the work to do, and then they checked it, and they just gave us our grade, and it was not like this because now we can get a good grade because Ms. Saunders helps us.